but also be direct, because being direct and straightforward with people is helpful. So there's ways to do both. And we do have the app, a 1 Million Cups app. If you want to download it, one, you can get feedback to the presenter so they can see it if you don't get a chance to give your feedback, but two, you can check in and see who's up next week or what city you're in. So if you don't have the app and you're interested, you're welcome to download that. So anyway, enough for me. Thanks for being here. Thank you to WeWork. Pip is in the back. Thanks, Pip. She's recovering, so she's hiding a little bit, but it's been great for us here. And Emily and Kyle are up front. So if you guys need, you're interested in the space and getting to be part of the WeWork community, they're happy to give you a tour, tell you more about the space. And then for us, coffee and water, fair game. Tim brought some healthy breakfast donuts this morning for us, and some oranges are next to it if you feel like going the other route. And but thanks for being here. Up first is a friend of mine. We've become friends anyway. So Earl Foot, he just got back from Iceland, so that beard is not inspired by, but he did it really well with the local community there.
I actually had some people come up to me and speak Icelandic to me, which I don't even know is an insanely complicated language, and I just, deer in headlights kind of like.
You look the part. So somewhere between hipster and Icelandic is what he's going for, I think. So Earl's a really solid person. We met through a mutual friend, have looked at doing the world differently through coaching and mindsets and all sorts of stuff. So I've gotten to know Earl, and then it turns out he also has a super cool business helping people solve IT and other problems. So Earl's here to tell you more about what he's up to. So let's give Earl a big round of applause. Sorry, Earl was being kind by leaving mine up instead of his. So.
All right.
Switch, you're good to go.
Okay.
Yep, just all the way up.
All right. Good morning, everybody. I probably don't need a mic because I have a really loud voice, and I might blow you out if I use the mic. So I'll keep it at a distance, and I don't think it's working. But that's okay.
I can hear you.
You can hear me? Okay. How's everybody doing this morning? Good. Awesome. How are you? I'm doing well, thank you. I'm a little nervous. Is anybody else nervous? For me? Because I'm a little.
Oh, I am.
Yes.
I'm nervous.
Yes. Hey guys, this is Travis Gunn. He's our VP of Business Relationships.
I'm not nervous.
No? I'm glad you're not nervous. First of all, I just want to thank everybody for being here this morning. We want to thank the 1 Million Cups community, Rob, Stephanie, Oz, Leon. This is a super cool community, and I know many of you have been here many times, but every time I've been here, and I haven't been here most of the summer because I've been out gallivanting and doing some crazy things, but every time I've been here, there's just a really cool, entrepreneurial, innovative energy and really cool people. And so we're super happy to be with you guys here this morning, and hope that we can have a good time with you here. So I'm going to date myself a little bit, but who knows who the Stray Cats are? Okay, we have some. Did anybody go to the concert on Monday? Anybody go to the show? I know this is completely irrelevant, but I scored the coolest socks at the show, so I had to show everybody. See my cool Stray Cat socks. Anyway,
Well done.
yeah, look, we're here to talk about a solution, an IT solution platform that we refer to as InfiniCloud. I'm going to tell you just really quickly who we are. Our business is Nexus IT. We're a 21-year-old company based here in northern Utah. We've been helping small and medium-sized businesses in northern Utah tackle IT challenges and streamline and simplify their IT for 21 years. Generally, when we talk to people, they feel like IT is super complicated. It's hard to understand. It's a pain in their rear end. It is oftentimes unreliable, flaky, doesn't perform well, right? Or the vendors involved also don't perform well or are flaky. And so it's been our mission over 21 years to really simplify and make IT easier for small and medium-sized businesses. That is why we created InfiniCloud that we're going to talk about today. So let's talk about the problem.
Don't read this word for word.
I will not.
You guys
read
can.
the word. Thank you. For small and medium-sized businesses, when you're dealing with IT and trying to manage it, generally you're dealing with a lot of disparate systems, disparate vendors, different billing. You might have a phone system vendor. You might have some different software platforms that you're dealing with. You might have somebody you're buying hardware from. You might have subscriptions for things like Zoom and other things like that, right? And it just gets really messy to have a whole bunch of different solutions that you're trying to consistently deal with and integrate and train people on, and then have like 1,800 bills every month to deal with, right? Besides that, the need for rock-solid cybersecurity is super imperative in today's world, right? I think we all hear about the big dogs who are consistently getting hacked. Recent ones that come to mind are Capital One and Equifax. What many of us don't know or are maybe not oblivious, but we turn a blind eye to the fact that 3 out of 5 businesses in Utah, 3 out of 5 small businesses in Utah have been hacked, and 2 out of 5 don't even know it. And so the reality is that cybersecurity is a massive problem and a massive issue. And when you have all these disparate solutions, it actually makes it far more complicated to be secure. On top of that, in today's world, we have tons and tons of regulatory compliance, government regulations. And many of us, even though we might be really small businesses, we don't know or think that they don't apply to us. But the reality is, for most of us in today's world, there are government regulations that apply to data security and the information that we collect and store. And most of us have the obligation under law to be good stewards of that information. So that complicates the situation, right? You've got all these disparate solutions. You've got cybersecurity to consider. You've got your compliance to consider. Then
You've got people working everywhere and anywhere.
You do, yeah. You've got, in today's world, our workforces are often virtual, right? Places like WeWork enable us to have people working all over the world on our team or all over the country. So oftentimes, we have people telecommuting, whether that be from home or from some remote office or co-working space like WeWork. And the thing that many people don't understand is when you use a lot of public cloud solutions out there, some of the big dogs, and I won't name them, you can see some names up there, but most of them don't have compliance built into their base packages for you. And oftentimes their cybersecurity is quite loose unless you know how to properly configure it or you are upgrading your packages to include the proper cybersecurity compliance. One of the big complaints we always hear about from small, medium-sized businesses when we begin talking with them is that their IT is slow, it's unreliable, they're consistently having issues, and that the IT vendors that they deal with never answer the phone, they never show up, they never answer email. So that's kind of the problem that we see and deal with on a day-to-day basis.
So we've got a handful of early adopters, which we'll talk about on this, but really the solution here and something that we'll want some feedback on with InfiniCloud is to never have to go out and actually buy a piece of IT equipment again, laptops, desktops, servers, routers, firewalls, all that stuff, to get you out of the business of IT. And so this list of things, we actually pulled a couple of our early adopters, and this is the list that really they compiled as far as the solutions that are being created with the InfiniCloud system. One bill, one vendor, one neck to choke, not one note to check, because I don't even know what that means. But what that does is that gives you access to your data, to your business, day-to-day operational information from any device, anywhere, anytime, but it's done on your private cloud. So you're following, and from a cybersecurity compliance perspective, going back to the previous slide, you're able to be industry compliant. And then with that happening, this was a late ad that I haven't seen, so sorry about that. All of this is done with no capital expenditure. Go to the next slide so we can talk a little bit about that. So the InfiniCloud solution, because you're not purchasing hardware, it includes all of this on a subscription basis. Refreshes happen automatically. So 3 or 5 years, when it's time for refresh, you just continue to maintain your 1 fee per user. We come in and we actually refresh equipment so that you're not working on old antiquated equipment. You're not sending somebody down to Best Buy or Costco to buy a new laptop, which we see so much of, which does make it a capital expenditure as opposed to, or operational expense as opposed to a large capital expense. Going green is important nowadays. It does include all of your IT support, 24/7, 365, hyper responsive, because we're headquartered in Park City, concierge level support.
Right.
Tell us how it works.
Yeah, so, oops, went too fast there, sorry. So guys, InfiniCloud is an all-inclusive IT as a service platform that leverages a private cloud. And what I mean by all-inclusive is that we've created a program with which a business can simply subscribe at a flat fixed rate per month, and all of the IT that they normally use or consume on a day-to-day basis is included. So I don't want to, this may be incredibly complex here. I don't want to make it overly complex, and Travis touched on some of these things, but from the basic computers and laptops that your users work on, tablets, mobile phones, your phone system in your office if you have an office, your network infrastructure, Wi-Fi, your internet connections, your own private cloud, all of your support, employee cybersecurity training, regulatory compliance, virtual CIO services, all of your cybersecurity defense, backup and disaster recovery.
Anything outside of your monthly subscriptions for your line of business software components, etc.
Yeah, line of business software. If you are a business who operates on like Peachtree for your accounting and things like that, those wouldn't be included in this platform, but everything else, including your Office 365, so your Office subscriptions, all your Microsoft software subscriptions, your Exchange email platform, all of that is included in InfiniCloud. Again, everything in a simple, easy to use, easy to consume platform with one bill from one vendor at a fixed rate every month.
We actually call this IT as a service. We're going to talk a little bit of the challenge that we have is being able to actually present and help people to understand what that actually means, what's included, as so we're not being confused.
Yeah. So these are some of the current early adopters that have been piloting this program for us. Obviously, there's some pretty cool companies there, some pretty good names. Most of us would recognize locally. We are headquartered in Park City. We have an office in Salt Lake and in Provo as well. You'll see some Park City companies. Christian Center Park City is a super awesome company. Basin Recreation is our local recreation district in Park City. Then some brands like Squatters, Nightingale College is downtown here, Moab Brewery who's in Moab. These are some early adopters who are currently on the platform, using it, loving it. So we want to keep this short and we want to get into Q&A, but what are our asks from the community? We wanted to come here today, and I guess really quick, I totally forgot to thank Lindsay Ivey and John Ivey for streaming this. And I know you guys do this, at every 1MC, but thank you for streaming this live, and thank you for helping us promote it, beforehand. But the things that we want to hear from the community are feedback on the idea. If you have ideas that would help small, medium-sized businesses further simplify the way they use and consume IT. And then we are looking for companies who want to pilot this program, who want to help us make it a success in the community. And so if there's any of you here, or if you know anybody who would like to pilot the program, we'd love to talk to them. This is our contact information if you want to reach out to us later. Certainly take a picture of it or something, but let's open it up. Feedback, ideas, Q&A. Yeah, back here in the corner.
When you're, okay, to utilize your service, essentially, let's say you have support staffs within the company, and to access all this, you do need to have workstations and so forth for the staff in order to connect, right?
We provide those.
Oh, you provide
under the subscription. All your hardware, all your IT is included. Yes.
Oh.
So workstations, monitors, laptops, all of your networking equipment, servers where applicable, is all included in this, and it's all done on a per user. That's how this is priced, per user, per month, and then it includes all that along with the support. And if you have IT staff in-house, then we also could, we aggregate and work together.
Back with Billy and then.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Concept. I've got a business and I've got people spread all over the country. Unfortunately, some of them don't live in metropolitan areas, and they're kind of challenged when it comes to bandwidth.
Sure.
How do you deal with the lag and productivity issues of a low bandwidth environment?
Yeah, very good question. So we deal with these types of scenarios day in and day out, right? Again, today's workforce is very mobile, and oftentimes, telecommuting is really the norm now. It's not so much the exception. And so when you have these remote workforces that are in a rural location with really low bandwidth, the good news is that each individual user doesn't need a massive amount of bandwidth in order to access your systems and leverage our InfiniCloud. Generally on a pretty basic network, they can have very reliable service. Now, if they have just really terrible bandwidth, right? We do have partnerships with different organizations, different companies that are able to supply bandwidth to rural areas and supply better bandwidth than what is typically available. But we've built into our platform compression technologies so that generally with like a basic DSL connection in a rural location or a basic wireless connection, I'm talking something that's like 5 megabits down and maybe like 500K up or a mega up is generally going to, I'm sorry, not 500, yes, 5 megabits and 1 megabit is generally going to cover for this scenario.
And if that does not, if that still is not sufficient, we've got other solutions where we can actually create replication within their home networks as well.
Right.
That would help from a performance standpoint.
Yeah, we can actually have them work on their local device and replicate everything into your cloud so that the data is backed up and secure and it's available to the entire team. There was another question. Yeah.
So with that hardware that you guys provide as part of the subscription, is it kind of a standard package for each user, or do you guys customize it for the customer? So for example, if the customer really needs computers that can handle higher end systems and stuff, or software and stuff?
Absolutely. So a basic office user gets a certain grade of system, right? If it's a user who does Adobe Premiere, or it's a CAD user in an engineering firm or an architectural firm, they're going to get a graphics level type of device that has the graphics and processing power to support their need.
And
so
we do have
them.
a handful of these beta users that will have even something like a Microsoft Surface because they need it for whatever reason. And that's also something that can be included in this as well. So you're not tied to, A package, B package, C package. It can be whatever is needed, and then pricing is built according to whatever the needs are. But to answer your question, yeah, absolutely.
Got a question over here.
So it sounds like to me the InfiniCloud is kind of the same thing that we offer, is where it's just a ITAAS agreement, and that where hardware is a service, and then you're doing a managed service agreement on top of that. So essentially, you're just bundling it together and providing an all-inclusive package, correct?
If we're talking our industry jargon, it would be ITAAS, hardware as a service, SaaS, software as a service, IaaS, infrastructure as a service, managed services, and some other things all bundled together with a private cloud.
I was just saying the way that at least we simplify it, and not obviously to give away our own industry secrets, but the simplest way that we've done is we break it down into hourly. So we say, okay, if we're supporting your system 24 hours a day, or say 7 days or 5 days a week, 8-hour days, or whatever their hours of business are, and we're supplying you this, and this, it would be the equivalent of paying $4 an hour per employee. So that's usually how we break it down. It's like, hey, here's all your software, here's everything that you need all in one inclusive package. This is what it breaks down to, is if you were paying for an employee to come in. So oftentimes, especially when you break down all of these different things that you're including,
Right.
it does break down to less than minimum wage.
It absolutely does. Yep, that's right. And we oftentimes will help companies look at what their current IT budget is, what their current spend is, and what their spend would be on this platform. And we do look at hourly scenarios, and oftentimes it's ridiculously inexpensive. Go ahead. Sorry, was there any other questions?
Well, I get the last question.
Yes.
For our presenters. And so, every week you get your very own magic mug. Earl, you've been coming for a while, so I want to see this one to you. This is from 1 Million Cups.
Thank you so much, Robin.
A copy in it, and good to have you here.
Yeah,
so, we like to say that thing sometimes grants wishes, and part of that's through the idea that our community has a lot of diverse connections, IQ, and experiences, and so if we leverage the community in a way to add value, we have more connections than we can ever imagine. So what we like to say is, if you ask the community for one thing that would make a big difference in what you're up to in InfiniCloud or Nexus IT, what would that thing be? What could our community here in Salt Lake or what comes to do that would make a difference for you guys?
You know, we're really interested in getting, Stephanie asked me earlier, what's kind of the big challenge that we have with this solution right now with InfiniCloud. I think the big challenge that we have is getting people to understand what it is. As you saw, there were quite a few different questions. It's a lot to take in, and sometimes people don't necessarily understand it. So if you can help us simplify the message, and certainly feel free to reach out, right? Help us simplify the message for small, medium-sized businesses so we can understand what resonates. I think that that's something that we really need right now. And then just getting the word out. Again, if you know somebody who wants to pilot it, it's really awesome, and we'd love to have them check it out.
Awesome. So if you've got feedback or ideas or have thought about IT or want to give Travis and Earl feedback on what you just heard, sounds like they're pretty open, so come connect with them afterwards. Let's give Travis and Earl a big round of applause.